lot of times it comes from now anime's more mainstream, I will say that, but
For sure.
I can only come at it from my perspective being, like, an older is relative, but older anime fan, like, back in the early 2000s, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Um, and anime wasn't cool, like, these were not cool kids liking anime, like, we were not
mhm.
like the jocks, the preps, whatever you had at your schools, these were not the people watching anime, at least not open about it.
Yeah.
Uh, it was very much a nerdy thing to be into, and so this was their space though, like, if you went to anime conventions where they felt cool, like, this was their space, and I think being that often, it's like, people coming from, like, the outside, like, they feel like outcasts. There is a lot of insecurity there, and
Yeah.
so it might have felt like an intrusion on their space. It wasn't, but I think there's a lot of insecurity in their own rights to fandom because there's like people have done fandom studies. Like there are scholars who talk on these issues and how women's fandom and men's fandom looks so different. And like men's fandom
Mm.
is a lot about like being the most knowledgeable and like ticking off all these boxes. And I maybe it's changing now. I can't say you could speak to that more than I could, but it was very much like that. And so to them, that was the measure of fandom. Whereas women are more likely to do things like write fan fiction,
Mm.
be on Tumblr, for better or worse. Like that's their version of fandom and how they measure fandom, and it's very much almost like a qualitative versus quantitative approach, right? And so if you have people whose identities are very wrapped up in this fandom and they see the benchmark for being a fan as I put in all these hours studying things. I have put in all these hours in this game. I've done this, that, and the other. And they see somebody who's claiming to be a fan not doing that. Like that strikes at something in them. So
Ooh, good. That's okay.
that's how I see it. And like that doesn't make it all right. It
Yeah.
definitely doesn't. Like that's a you problem.
Mhm.
But that's from my experience what it's been. I can't say today because it is more mainstream now, but I think there's still probably some truth there to that.
I do think those metrics of being a true fan are still there for sure. Like I think
Mhm.
not even just for girls, but even for like for guys as well. Because literally, like you could like be ranting or just like have an opinion on an anime, and then like if you say something that just like is slightly off, you're not a true anime fan, right?
Mhm.
If you're not watching like the most like longest like anime ever, which is like One Piece, like
Yep.
you're not
I was gonna say One Piece.
right. So it's like if you're not on Aaron's side in Attack on Titan, then you're not a true anime fan. So it's like all these different like check boxes or just a moving standard for you to be a true anime fan, which sucks, and I think it's kind of exhausting as well because it's like you like if you're so caught up in this, you're always finding yourself to try to keep up and be on the
Mhm.
instead of just being like content where you're at, which I don't think that's like there.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
um,
100%. I think, like, people wrap up their identities in fandom too much, first and foremost, and, yeah, you're always chasing a goal that you can never reach if
mm,
you view fandom from that lens. Moving like, not that I ever viewed fandom from that lens, but I kind of accepted the structures that were, like, pushed upon me, but
yeah,
moving away from that and realizing curating a community and a friend group where we're just all here to have a good time, whatever that means for you, has
mm,
been so freeing. Fandom is so much more enjoyable that way.
yeah. No,